Hello students, hope all is well. And what I want to do in this short video is introduce you to the Google US Patent Database. This is a very, very useful and important database, and you can access it with your browser, Mozilla, Chrome. What I want to do is briefly show you where it is and what type of information you would find useful now and in the future. So what I will do is go to Google Patents, and if you put Google Patents in double quotes, you'll find this very quickly. So I'm going to select that. Now, here in the patent database, I worked in industry for only 4 years, from 1980 to 84. When I got out of school, I graduated with my PhD in organic chemistry from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, 1980. From 1980 to 84, I worked for Allied Signal Corporation in Buffalo, New York, the Buffalo Research Lab. It's now a division of Honeywell. And when I left there in 84, I came here and started the chemistry program and been here at Pitt Bradford ever since. I had 11 patents, 2 were commercialized, and a growing number of academic professors are introducing students to the database. We use this for preliminary directed research study, along with the classic electronic journals. And this is a very good way to find companies and universities doing research you're interested in, either for a job or when applying to graduate school for an advanced degree. What schools, what programs, and what professors are doing what. For example, if you wanted to know something about vaccines, the coronavirus, this Google database may very well help you to find where the schools are that are doing the research you are interested in. Now, in chemistry, introduction to material science, it's so funny. I'm in my den taping this, and I have a TV on the background. And while I'm talking to you, the commercial is showing some type of patented technology. Oh, boy. In chemistry, introduction to molecular science, we're interested in compositions of matter, new compounds, possibly new candidate medicines, any type of new biomaterials for use in engineering artificial blood vessels. It could be anything. It could be fuel additives. Also, you will find process development patents, where you find a very, very efficient, cost-effective way to make a pre-existing composition of matter. When I was an organic chemist and doing research for the company, from time to time, I would do process development work, and I would take a pre-existing process, improve it, scale it up to a certain point, maybe 1 to 3 kilo, with a chemical engineer taking notes. And from that point on, the process engineers take it over and bring it into the pilot plant and cautiously scale up for manufacture. We just want the essentials here. So once you access Google Patents, I'll tell you, I use this. I don't use the USPTO, the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Now, we're not going to talk about copyrights and trademarks. You know, the Coca-Cola script, McDonald's arches, those are registered trademarks. Mickey Mouse. We're not talking about playwrights, novels. Those are copyrights, drawings, paintings. We're not going to talk about those kind of things, and we're going to strictly look at U.S. patents. Patents can cost a lot of money. They can cost thousands of dollars. Most patents never turn out to be commercialized, but some of them, of course, are major money makers, like Hoffmann-La Roche's Valium. Valium is Hoffmann-La Roche's registered trademark for that antidepressant, Valium. Only Hoffmann-La Roche can use that term Valium. However, there are companies making generic forms of that drug, but they can't call it Valium. So that can be renewed, the registered trademark. and the trade name. That can be renewed. A patent generally runs about 18 years. One of my former students is a patent attorney, and I have another now who wants to go to law school upon graduation. A growing number of people with science backgrounds are looking into going into intellectual property. You could graduate with a degree in science, biology, chemistry, chemical engineering, bioengineering. You can physics. You can go to law school. You first pass the bar exam like every other lawyer, but then another year for passing the patent bar exam. And that way you can get into intellectual property for a university or a company, processing patents, getting involved in litigation, lawsuits over infringements. Something to think about. Intellectual property. Every major research university has patent attorneys for new processes, new medicines. And in fact, if you go in the Google database and type in a given university, you can find out what patents they have and which ones they're applying for. Very good way, once again, to scope out what schools you may be interested in for advanced study. I don't use the USPTO because the United States website only takes you back to about 1976. The Google one takes you right back to the earliest patents. In fact, only one U.S. president ever had a patent issued, and that was Abraham Lincoln. Way to raise boats in the water. It was never commercialized, but you'll find it. If you type in his name as the inventor, Abraham Lincoln, you'll find it. Now, let me type in ibogaine, Ibogaine, ibogaine. It's isolated from the iboga shrub. Schedule 1 in the United States, cannot be used for medical application in the United States. Okay, let's just look at this first one. Use of ibogaine and derivatives thereof for the treatment of pain. Let's look very carefully at this. I want to let you know that research scientists spend an awful lot of time studying patents, finding loopholes. What can we exploit? I did that myself one time in industry. We took a patent issued to General Mills, the cereal company, and we found a loophole and actually made chemicals for removing platinum and palladium from catalytic converters of cars. It was commercialized. Okay, this is what you get out of the patent. The title, the abstract, then who is the inventor? Lawrence Friedhoff. Who is the current assignee? Now, the assignee would be generally who they license or sell it to, or who the inventor works for. Then you want to see the patent number, and you can find the prior art, patents leading up to this. Let's take a look. I'll download the PDF. And this is a patent application. And it was applied in 2017. It was an application. Now, there are provisional patent applications. During the Clinton administration, it was made federal law that for about $200, a small person working at home, an inventor, an engineer, someone self-employed, could file a provisional patent application for about $200. That gives you some legal document. You have a year then to decide whether you want to file a U.S. patent. But that also protects you if you want to discuss your concept or sell the technology to a company. They would say to you, all right, we'll meet with you, get your provisional patent application. We don't want to be brought to court for stealing from you. You first do that, and then we can meet and you can disclose what you have, and we'll see whether we want to develop it, purchase it, license it, etc. But that protects you. So that way, a year later, if they file a patent, you could go to court, sue them, And the lawyer would say, who himself or herself is a patent attorney, okay, where's your provisional patent application and what is the date? Because patents they can cost thousands of dollars. So here's my point. Once you file a U.S. patent, the meter starts running. The lifetime of that patent, where you have a monopoly once it's issued, it's about 18 years. But it's not the day it's issued. It's the day you file. And sometimes it could take a year or more for that patent to be issued. The patent examiners in the government will look at what you're claiming. And then you go back and forth and they'll say, all right, you can't claim the sky is blue. First, you try to claim as much as possible. But then they narrow it down to specific claims called the preferred embodiments in that patent. If you have a patent issued and you find someone's been infringing on you, making money, you go to court, the patent attorney is going to say, all right, let's see your patent. What are your preferred embodiments? Okay, you're the plaintiff, and the defendant has indeed infringed upon you. They have violated your preferred embodiments and did not license that. They have to pay damages. Okay, well, anyway, let's see if this is a good example to help you. Now, what's valuable while you're in school, young men and women, is that if you do a term paper or a capstone where you're developing background literature citation, do not plagiarize the contents of a patent. You have to cite it properly in your references and notes. Your librarians can help you in college. Your librarians can help you and give you advice and guidance on how you properly cite U.S. patents. I strongly advise when you're doing any type of research background study or writing a technical term paper, capstone, etc., that you use Google Patents. Consult with your professors about this before you do that. Talk to them about it. You may want to show them what you're aware of. Communication is the key, but you have to cite these. Here's what's valuable. Every patent or patent application must teach you something about the prior art. What has been done? What is the problem? What's been done in the past? And what do you bring to the table that's new and different? What's novel? What is it that you want a patent for? This is a way for you to learn about many topics. You might say, I want to learn as much as I can about ibogaine, or heroin, or morphine, or coronavirus vaccines. Patents can teach you a great deal. If you sit in front of the computer and you devote about 10 hours to studying the patent literature on a topic, you'll be amazed at what you know after that period of time. And you can even use this with personal interests. You may be interested in fishing lures, a new guitar design, a perfume came out. Gee, let me look at the patent to see what's the chemical composition. Oh my gosh, this can be used by everyday people, the patent literature. My wife, a number of years ago, bought a new kitchen appliance. I looked at the patent number, looked it up, and showed it to her. And I said, there's the patent on this appliance, and the person that designed it, and then sold it to a large company. State of the art. Background, then the summary of what's new here. What are they trying to file a patent for? What claims? Then you begin to see the structure of ibogaine, which is very complicated. And you can see in this patent, it's compounds that were administered, the testing of ibogaine and derivatives, detailed description. I don't know if there'll be an experimental section. No, because here they're not synthesizing. To the best of my knowledge, they're just testing these derivatives that have been made. But let's scroll down. Let's see if there is an experimental section. Methods of invention. What they're trying to get a patent for. Okay. Just examples. Use of ibogaine to treat chronic pain in humans. Yeah, so there won't be any synthesis here. It's just going to be clinical methodology. But you see, now you know who's doing this, what company, and where it's at right now. Let's go to another example. Let me type in, I'll backtrack. Oh, and you can put in filters with dates. You can type in inventors' names, companies' names, what years. Maybe I want to look at patents from 1970 to 1980. This will filter. Let me type in aldose reductase. I'll give you a little assignment too with this. You got to spell it correctly. Aldose reductase inhibitor. This is an enzyme that's overactive in people with diabetes. To make a long story short, this enzyme in the human body converts blood sugar, glucose, into sorbitol. It reduces it down with coenzyme NADH. And in diabetics, there's too much blood sugar, too much sorbitol, which is then destroys the lens. Diabetic retinopathy, the retina, rather. One of the first compounds ever designed to treat this, to inhibit this enzyme, was carried out by Pfizer and Sons in Connecticut. And an ophthalmologist was able to give this to the patient where the eye drops contained the inhibitor, the drug. It was designed by computer. The first medicine, to the best of my knowledge, ever designed by computer was for treatment of diabetic retinopathy. Okay, so let's look now for this. And I'll see if I can spot. Let's see if we can find that. Okay, here's one. Class of heterocyclic organics. Here's your abstract, then you can decide whether you want to read it. Let's download and examine this patent. This was issued. Generally, you can get code numbers online. People do that. Someday when you're out of school and you're buying your first house, you may be going to an estate sale, looking for a nice mirror, and you see a very nice frame and a mirror, or an old record player, or whatever. If you can get the patent off of that, you'll be able to get an idea of when it was manufactured. And that can help with antiques. Now, here, when you're up to 6,849,000, that's going to be around 2000, 2005. This patent was issued, and in 2005, it's still alive. Let's see when it filed. That's the key. See, not issued, filed February 20th, 2003. 16 years. This is still a valid patent, but the meter's running. And in fact, once you passed 18 or so years, then it's in the public domain, and then generics can be made by drug companies, generic forms. Well, anyway, here's your title. Pyridoxine, pyridoxine. I know what that is, but don't you worry about that. Here's the inventor and the assignee, Pfizer Incorporated, New York. So this person, the inventor, assigned that as an employee of Pfizer. Then they cite other publications and scientific journals and other patents. You can look them up in order to learn everything you can about inhibition of this enzyme. Here's your abstract. And then the prior art, field of the invention, background of the invention, the enzyme, drugs used. Here are the new chemicals they're testing. Probably designed by computer first. I used to model this enzyme years ago with a student. Then this is all boilerplate, so they call it that patent attorneys use when writing up a patent. It's very tedious, very important. Those are all. There's your detailed description of the invention. What's new? What did you find? How did you make the compounds? And what biological activity was found? So they're showing you the chemical process. Very intimidating now. Remember, you're just starting your study of Introduction to Molecular Science. You're getting a working knowledge of organic chem. 1 year of organic chem to help you get ready for biochem and advanced molecular sciences. Don't be intimidated by this stuff. Some patents I can read and pick up very quickly what they're talking about. In other cases, I would say to you, I have about a half a year of study. I have, this is a field that, forget it, I'd have to have an advanced degree. Many synthetic biology patents I can read and understand about half of it. The other half then is within the domain of bioinformatics and don't have the background for it. Here's where they assess these new compounds. Now, we're interested in experimental procedures. Here you go. Here's how some of the compounds were made. They took a starting material to a solution of 2 mercaptoindole, 6.7 millimoles, 1.0 gram in acetone solvent, 20 milliliters. Was added 2-chloro-6-methoxypyridazine. How many millimoles, how many grams, and potassium carbonate, how many millimoles, how many grams. The reaction mixture was refluxed. In other words, it was boiled under a condenser. I'll be showing you that for 2 hours. Then the workup. The solvent acetone is removed by rotary evaporation, which I'll talk to you about, and the residue was partitioned between chloroform and water in a separatory funnel. You'll be learning these things. The chloroform layer was collected, dried with anhydrous magnesium sulfate or calcium chloride. You filter it, and the filtrate was evaporated to a residue and then purified by silica gel chromatography. And then they have the compound and the percent yield after purification. Now, I want you to understand, too, the people that make illicit drugs are reading these patents. And, gee, I want to make an hallucinogen. How do the drug companies make it? And, of course, in a clandestine, illicit lab, they're doing it. Okay. So then experimental procedures and compositions of matter are claimed in the processes. Okay, I don't want to beat you to death with this. Let me just show you one other example. You can type in a patent number. I'm going to type in a number I know off the top of my head, or I think I still do. 2. Oh boy. I'm not going to remember it. Let me type in Zippo lighter. Let me see if I can find a patent 2032695. I think it was 2032695. 203. Let me see if that's it. No. Oh boy, patent number 2,000,000. No, I can't. So let me just type in Zippo lighter. I used to know that patent off the top of my head. Okay, well anyway, let me show you. This here in town, here in Bradford, of course, Zippo Manufacturing. Here you can see designs, disposable liquid fuel cells for windproof lighters, and issued the inventors Ron Meister down at Zippo. And I used to know off the top of my head. Let me see if the patent tells me. There it is, 2032. That was the original Zippo patent. I'm going to copy that. Just to show you, there's a lot here. This would be involved with liquid fuel cell, flammable liquids. Let me type in, paste that number. 20, there it is. No, it's not showing up. We'd have to do it the other way through patent numbers. Isn't that something? I'm not getting it that way. I used to be able to do that. So you would have to go down to the, when you're doing a search, you'd have to go and put in the year or the patent number over there. But anyway, I was going to show you the original Zippo lighter, the original patent. And of course we could do that. Let me try typing in 1932 to 1937. Let me just see if we find this. There it is. Pocket lighter. The original Zippo patent, which turned out to be very important for Zippo here in town. The Blaisdell, George Blaisdell was the owner. And the Blaisdell family has done so much for our campus here in Bradford over the decades. And that would be the original Zippo outside hinge lighter. So, see, not just